The night dark, the rain relentless. And yet, you drive safely. Perhaps you have the eyes of a puma piercing the dark. Or a bullfrog seeing through the wetness blurs and glares. Or could it be your Bosch Night Performance wiper blades wiping this whole time? So adapted to the dangers of driving on stormy nights, it's almost as if you are too. Night vision has evolved. Bosch Night Performance wiper blades.
Glad Force Flex Max Strength now has bags with a 2 times stronger top for over-the-top strength. Like the kind of over-the-top strength needed to trash that impossibly tangled ball of broken string lights. Glad Force Flex Max Strength. Strong enough for all of life's garbage.
2 times stronger top versus 13-gallon Force Flex bags.
Kroger Delivery has one mission: to deliver the freshest food right to your door. That's why our drivers are pros. Our trucks are refrigerated. And when it comes to low prices, we always deliver. With $20 off your first order of $75 or more, there's no better time to get in on the action. Mission accomplished. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
FunBelt Podcast.
FunBelt Podcast.
FunBelt Podcast.
FunBelt Podcast.
It's just a great conference that is at a point right now where I think clearly the best group of 5 conference in the country.
The state of Sunbelt football is the strongest in our history.
And we got to continue to showcase what our league's about.
This league is insane.
Yeah, it might be like one of those 8 wonders of the world.
And you can see just what a great group of 5 conference it really is.
It's a big deal.
Boy, life is looking pretty good in the Sunbelt these days.
Welcome back to another bonus episode of FunBelt Podcast. You know, it's basketball season. Basketball season's coming up. I think the exhibition games are just about over, and we're headed into the real meat of, or the real start of the season. Am I right about this, Dusty? Has ULM played their exhibitions games yet? Are they done?
Yeah, I mean, there were the exhibition games, all the non-D1 games. In the world of NASCAR, the engines are started and they're about to drop the green flag. So we're definitely ready to rock and roll for this basketball season.
Yeah, definitely. You know, Arkansas State, they had one exhibition game. They played something called what was it? Blue
Mountain State.
Yeah. And won by 6 points. So it made me a little bit nervous, but I think we're ready to go for the season. I think we start off with Harding. But for the past few weeks, we at the FunBelt Podcast have been inviting coaches onto the show to get us sort of acclimated and ready for the Sunbelt basketball season, because I don't know about you, Dusty, but I feel like this is going to be one of the best Sunbelt basketball seasons that we've had in a very long time. And tonight we've got a very special guest. We've got Coach Cliff Ellis from Coastal Carolina, whose team went, I believe, 9-5 in Sunbelt play last year. They're maybe the best showing that they've had in the Sunbelt this year. Coach Ellis, thanks for coming on to the show.
Sure, good to be with you.
So, Coach, you were definitely one of the hot teams last year, 12-1 at home. Obviously, you had the great talent, but lost a key guy in Devontae Jones. What all's coming back this year that gives you the hope that you can really sustain that success of 12-1 at home?
Well, I think that we've got some pieces. We've still got 3 starters. Ibrahim Adiba is one, and Isam Mustafa is another. Garrett Green is a third. And we've added transfers ourselves from the transfer portal. We're an experienced team. I call us an experienced, inexperienced team. We've got 3 starters back. We got 3 guys that have played Division I basketball that they haven't played together. So, you know, that gives us hope. And we know it's a tough league, and it's anybody's game anytime out.
Picked 7th in the preseason poll. Do you feel that's kind of fair of where your team should kind of start the year, or do you think you should have been a little bit higher?
I don't pay any attention to preseason polls. Most of the time, I pay no attention to it. Has no factor on what goes on.
I have no idea.
You said that.
I have no idea what Coastal Carolina was preseason ranked last year, but they were a surprise in 2020-21, the crazy COVID year. Why was Coastal Carolina so tough to play at home?
Well, I first of all, I think it was a good team. We had the player of the year in our conference on our team, and, that says a lot. But it was different last year. I don't know. The COVID year, there were no fans. It's probably hard for anybody to get up when they played on the road a lot of times, because we didn't have fans.
Well, I see that Mustafa's coming back. You had mentioned he was coming back. He was placed on the on one of the Sun Belt all-conference teams coming in. Is Mustafa your team leader, or who do you feel like are going to be the guys that really lift Coastal Carolina this year?
Well, I think our leaders are those guys that are coming back. Ibrahim Adiba, Mustafa, and Garrett Green. I think those guys, they're the starters back. I think they're the guys that lead.
Coach, looking over your schedule this year, by the way, if you need somebody to go on the road with you, I'm more than happy to go to the Bahamas tournament with you.
Yeah, if you need some assistance, we can jump in.
We're all there, but you're playing a pretty regional schedule. Was that done more of as just to bring more attention to your program, or to help with the recruitment, or what was kind of how did that schedule kind of get put together?
Well, there's a lot of great teams in our area. I mean, you take the teams that we're playing. There's a lot of postseason play. Wofford is a team that's been in the NCAA tournament, made some noise in the last few years. You've got South Carolina out of the SEC. They were in the Final Four, 3 or 4 years ago. Winthrop has been somewhat of a rival over the years in their perennial NCAA tournament team. Mercer, another good basketball team that has made noise over the last few years. These are teams within our region that I think brings in a fan, gives your fans something to look forward to out of conference play. And, we got North Carolina, Wilmington, which is up the coast, Middle Tennessee out of Conference USA. So it's a really, really good schedule, non-conference wise. And we're going to be playing. We open up in the Bahamas with Valpo, who is a good team. Abilene Christian's in our bracket. They beat Texas last year in the NCAA. So we've really got some good teams to look forward to playing.
Coach, you were talking a little bit about some of your out-of-conference teams. We've been talking a little bit amongst ourselves about the Sun Belt and how it seems to be gelling as a pretty good conference, especially this year. A lot of transfer guys a lot of COVID guys coming back for another year, a lot of experience coming back on the court. How do you see the Sun Belt East shaping up this year? Who do you think are going to be the guys that are going to be tough to play?
Well, Appalachian State won the tournament. Georgia State was, I think Georgia State's a very talented team. I really like their team. South Alabama has really, they've been the transfer portal king, so to speak. They've taken tons of players from that. So, from that aspect of, I think that every team is tough, but you have to say that those teams are teams that you got to watch. We didn't play the West last year per se till we got the tournament, but just based on what I've seen on paper, it looks like Louisiana has really got some players back, but they really got some people out of the transfer portal. And Arkansas State has some players back that are supposed to be pretty good. But I don't know. We didn't see the West last year. I'm not as comfortable saying how that would turn out, other than it just looks like Louisiana on the other side seems to be what I would call a favorite.
How weird was that, Coach? I mean, that must have been really strange to be kind of confined to one division of the conference until the Sun Belt tournament came, and then suddenly you had a whole other half of the conference coming in. How strange was that COVID year?
Really strange. I mean, we set an NCAA record. We beat a team 5 times in a. So, that, I mean, how often does that happen? When have you ever heard of anybody beating a team 5 times in a season?
Who was that team? I can't remember.
Huh?
Who was that team?
Well, it was Troy, and I'm not picking Troy. I'm not picking them. We played them 4 times in the regular season and played them in the tournament.
Oh, Scott Cross is going to want his revenge.
Well, yeah. Well, Scott's a very good basketball coach, but keep in mind we were a real good team. But the point was, how strange was the season?
Yeah.
When you're playing people 4 times, that's strange. That's strange. And I'm sure there were a lot of teams that beat somebody 4 times, which is unheard of. But I don't know of anybody that has ever beaten a team in NCAA history 5 times in a season.
Yeah, that sounds like something that would happen like in 1910 or something crazy like that, when you only had 4 or 5 programs to play.
Yeah, could be. I don't know.
So anyway, I was talking to Coach Pilato at Arkansas State, and he wanted me to share something with you. I asked him, so Coach, who's the guy who you like the most in the Sun Belt? And he said right away, oh, it's Cliff Ellis. I like him. He's awesome. So I just wanted to let you know that you have a big fan at Arkansas State.
Well, Mike was in the Big South back in years past, and he's done a good job. I think he's got a good team. I do. I appreciate that. That's very kind.
Coach, obviously the big talk this offseason has been around mostly football driven conference realignment. Is that anything that you kind of pay attention to or give your opinion to your athletic director, presidents of supporting or disapproving of any schools?
Well, I've been asked my opinion, but it's definitely driven by football. The conference realignment is driven by football. It's not just Sun Belt, but the SEC, the Atlantic Coast Conference, all these leagues. It's driven by, you can always follow the money, and television contracts bring money to schools. It's driven by that, and there's no question that the Sun Belt expansion is driven by football too, because you're trying to get the television rights. But when you look at what's been added in, I know, from our perspective, my goodness alive, adding Marshall, Old Dominion, these schools, I mean, what a football league it is, but also what a heck of a basketball league too.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, I mean, I really think the Sun Belt, and I was in that group. I helped start the Sun Belt in 1976 when the Sun came into play. I was at the University of South Alabama as its basketball coach, and there was about 8 to 12 of us that put our heads together, ADs. There was no football, but we started the Sun Belt back in 76, and I'm very proud of what has transpired through the years. But the way that I see the Sun Belt now, with what's progressed, it is passing the Conference USA. If in the group of 5, and the group of 5, I'm going to say the Sun Belt is going to be the strongest league outside of the Power 5 based on these additions. That's my opinion.
Coach, as you said,
which makes it strong. Now, we've been a 1-bid league. Okay, let's face it, we've been a 1. And we've got to get more teams because there's too many good teams. But I think this opens the door to get 2, 3, 4 teams in because the league is going to be good. But it's hard. It's hard when you're a 1-bid league competing with 12 teams to try to beat 11 other teams. When I was at Auburn and Clemson, went to the NCAA several times at both institutions, never won the conference championship. It wasn't a 1-bid league where you play 500 basketball and you go to the NCAA tournament. Not true in our league, but I think that's fixing to change because basketball, it is very good. It is very, very good basketball.
You were talking about, the NCAA tournament and how hard it is to get in there. And I know the Sun Belt for the last couple of years have worked really hard to try to get that best team to end up making it into the field of 68, I guess what it is now. And for for all as hard as it's tried, it doesn't seem to be working all the time, or not nearly enough. Do you think that the Sun Belt tournament can do anything to change that? Is there anything that the Sun Belt can do more than what it's doing now to get that best team into the NCAA tournament?
Well, I think there's a lot of factors there. Number one is scheduling, but you got to get the Power Five teams to play, and the Power Five teams want to play themselves. They want to play intersectional. So if you do get a Power Five team, for the most part, you're going to have to play them at their play. And so if you play them at their place, the odds are that they're going to win. But yeah, I think it's important that you keep working committees, you keep working to try to improve the schedule as best you possibly can. But the Power Five controls everything. I mean, that's just the way that it is. And you've got to find a way to try to, the best way to get in there is to be able to play those teams and be able to beat those teams. And that's a hard thing to do. But I think our conference is trying to do everything that they can to make sure that our teams get a shot at that. But it's hard. It's just like in football. Coastal Carolina right now is in the top 25, lost one game. But if they win out and App State wins out, they're not even going to play for the conference championship.
Yeah.
And so big bowl like the Orange Bowl or the Sugar Bowls, things like that are out. Now, I think you almost have to win out in situations like, but there's no room for error. And that's tough because it's a deadgum good football team. And I mean, there's two guys, there's a quarterback and a wide receiver that's going to play in the NFL. And, you know, people like the Cinderella stories. They like to see Boise State back in the day. I use that in football, going and taking down in Oklahoma. They like to see a Butler in the NCAA tournament. Fans like to see that, but you know, you've got to let these teams in to be able to do that. And I would like to see the NCAA tournament just hooked up and let everybody in. Just play it. Let's play it. You know, seed it, however you want to do, but give everybody a shot. And that way it takes all of it out. All you'd have to do is play one more weekend, you know, and there'd be a lot of money. I think television can make a lot of money. You just add another weekend, you know, add another weekend and play it. And then the next weekend, you're back to the 64, 68, whatever it was, and cut some regular season, cut a week of the regular season out and let everybody play.
I'd rather see all 324 go, and then that way you have the 324 over one upset eventually happen.
Did Cliff Ellis just recommend a 300+ tournament? Because I am 1,000% behind that.
Well,
that would blow my mind. And just for the gambling purposes alone, it would be exciting.
Well, if you had 300, let's say 300, whatever it is, 320 what? How many?
I think it's 324 is the last count.
24. After the first night, there'd be 162. And then after the second night, you'd be down to 80. So, you know, one weekend. And then if you want to seed the top to get it down to 68, seed the top 25, however you want to do that. But let them play. Just have one weekend, cut 1 week of the regular season out, start it a week earlier, and let's play.
My mind is
Cliff Ellis.
blown by this idea. It's totally blown.
Well,
I love it.
Well, I'd say cut the conference tournaments out. You know, cut the conference tournament. You know,
but then we don't get a trip to Pensacola, Coach.
Well, you'll sit in that ice hockey arena too.
Coach Ellis is already.
Coach Ellis wants to cut the tournament. No, and he's already sitting on the beach in Myrtle Beach, so he's like Pensacola.
I'm not saying cut the conference tournament out because that does bring money. It's a financial deal. It does. But my suggestion is cut 1 week, push the season back 1 week, even if it means less non-conference games or what, and just have one more weekend and play it and let everybody in. I mean, why not? That's the fairest way to crown an NCAA champion instead of letting the 7th place team out of these Power 5, 7th and 8th place team goes. Who wants to see the 8th seed from the Pac-12 or the SEC? I mean, they don't go that far anyway. I mean, shoot,
Scott Cross just got replaced as my favorite coach. I mean, Coach Ellis, your tops for me.
I feel like we're getting wisdom from on high on this. Oh my God, this is a great idea. I'm going to start pumping that on my own website, the 327 game tournament, because that would be an awesome spectacle. And honestly, you're right, Coach Ellis. Probably the most fair way to do it. I mean, you spend the entire season working for your seed. It would probably compel other better teams to start playing. Getting a little bit more parity amongst the other conferences. So I love it. Let's do it.
Well, it lets Cinderella come to the dance if she's there.
Yeah, at least get the right Cinderella out there. That would be perfect.
I mean, everybody gets a chance, and hey, seed the top, whatever. But all you got to do is play one weekend, and you got everybody's in, everybody plays, every fan base is encouraged, boom, 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 boom. And you play it out. And there you go.
Coach,
So
I'd like to go ahead.
If we do that, Coach, where is the Final Four a static place, or does it revolve around to different locations?
Well, I mean, you don't do it any different than what you did before. I mean, all you're doing is playing one weekend. Before, you keep it just like it is, have people bid. It's a money deal. So whoever bids it out is going to get it anyway. You just find weekends where you can get those teams to play.
Coach, I wanted to shift gears just a little bit, talk a little bit about recruiting. Coastal Carolina sort of jumped onto the scene as a baseball school, won that national championship, and then a few seasons later has become a football school with its AP top 25 designations, and last year had very nice seedings in the playoff final poll for there. So are those successes from those sports areas helping the basketball team recruit at all, or does that play a factor at all?
Well, I think it plays a factor, but I'll say this before that, and I'll enlighten you with some information with regards to it. Before all that happened, here's what you got to realize about what Coastal Carolina basketball has done. We played LSU. We beat them twice. That's in your state. Beat them at LSU, beat them at our place. We played Auburn at their place. We beat them. We beat Clemson twice. That's out of the ACC. We set the record for winning and giving Bob Huggins the most points ever scored at the University of West Virginia. We beat Utah. So there were a lot of things that were done that's helped. I think the whole 9 yards of it. The other thing is Dustin Johnson played his golf at Coastal Carolina. So I think it's the whole realm of athletic. Right now, football is helping us. Baseball helped us. Basketball has helped. Dustin Johnson has helped. The name Coastal Carolina has gotten its name through athletics, and it's the front porch. Athletics is your front porch, and that's just the way that it is. In Coastal Carolina athletics, the administration is committed to it, and it's where it is because of vision from administrators. But I think all of our sports have made a difference.
By the way, if you yell, "Let's go Chants" at Dustin Johnson, he looks at you like, "How do you know about the Chants?"
Well, it gets his attention. He's a big fan.
Definitely. So, Coach, we kind of wrap up with this. You mentioned that you helped start the Sun Belt Conference back in '76. You've been around coaching 48 years. How have you seen the game kind of evolve and change in your time?
Well, I will start. First of all, back in the day, there wasn't a 3-point shot. The shorts were a lot shorter. Whoever had the big man. I mean, when I started, one of my first games was against a school in your state called Centenary, and they had a guy by the name of Robert Parrish, and they were in the top 25 in the country. They were a very good basketball team. And I think my second game as a collegiate coach, they beat us 14 at South Alabama. And one of the biggest upsets that my teams have ever had was going back to Centenary and Shreveport and beating them at the buzzer. But it was a big man's game. If you had a Robert Parrish, you were going to win, because you didn't have a 3-point shot. Throw it inside, throw it inside, throw it inside, throw it inside. That in uniforms, it was Chuck Taylor tennis shoes. Okay. That it's now a fashion shoe. You wear Chuck Taylor Converse, but that's what you played in. And then the game went to the 3-point shot, and it went to a shot clock. There was 45 seconds. So you couldn't hold the ball. Back in the early days, Dean Smith, other coaches, there'd be 9-2 basketball games. Well, the shot clock changed that.
Thank God.
The 3-point, that's right, 3-point shot changed that. And then, now you've got the next change has been what's happened recently. Now you've got the transfer portal and you got the NIL. So all of these progressions have happened. What I've seen that's made the most significant factor since the early 70s is television coming onto the scene. And, you can sit at home and watch about any basketball game that you want to watch.
Yeah.
And it's taken the fan element out of it. But, again, going back to following the money. So it's become an international sport. It's grown in its popularity. It's changed, but the changes have been good.
Well, Coach Ellis, we wish you the best of luck this season. We can't thank you enough for taking time out here as you get ready to tip off the season. Looking forward to it. We're hoping we can see you down in Pensacola and cheer on some Chants when they're not playing our respective schools. But who knows if you are the hot team, we might jump on the bandwagon there with you.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. Well, good luck, fellas. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Coach Ellis.
The night dark, the rain relentless, and yet you drive safely. Perhaps you have the eyes of a puma piercing the dark, or a bullfrog seeing through the wetness blurs and glares. Or could it be your Bosch Night Performance wiper blades wiping this whole time? So adapted to the dangers of driving on stormy nights, it's almost as if you are too. Night vision has evolved. Bosch Night Performance wiper blades.
Glad Force Flex Max Strength now has bags with a 2 times stronger top for over-the-top strength. Like the kind of over-the-top strength you need when cooking your first turkey.
Why is this thing still hard as a rock? It's been in the oven for hours. Wait, hang on. What do you mean I was supposed to start thawing yesterday? And there's a plastic bag inside? Who's in the mood for takeout?
Glad Force Flex Max Strength. Strong enough for all of life's garbage. 2 times stronger top versus 13-gallon Force Flex bags.